Welcome to the Beachside Bungalow by Real Good Toys. As we mentioned before, we are developing a Hawaiian theme and trying to make things as economical as possible. You'll see today we've taken a twist on the acrylic pour painting that's so popular today. To begin with, we'll talk about acrylic pour painting for those who don't have that experience. It's something new I'm learning. Decided to do a summer camp with our grandchildren this summer and see how creative we could be. And as you see, we used cups, larger cups, because this is a larger scale, normal human size, and mixed 50% of distilled water and white glue in that bottle that says grilled eat chili peppers, and then put the acrylic paint in each cup, each color, and then poured that 50-50 glue water mix into the paint colors. And then now we're adding one color at a time to get a sense of the design we're going to make. And we had no idea what we were going to do. We just thought we'd play and see what happened, and just kept adding colors. I would caution you, if you mix too many colors that are close to each other on the color wheel, you will end up with mud, and that's not pretty. So then we poured you just take and pour wherever you want it to go and watch it flow. And I just think this is so cool to see how the colors just move around, and you can use a little gravity, lift it up. Be a great training session for the children to learn about gravity and paint. And the reason we add the glue water mixture is the acrylic paint's pretty thick, and this allows it to move around. If it's too thick, it's not going to move around your board the way you want it to. And you can see those little cells are starting. And you'll see I put little pegs on the back of these pallets so that they would kind of give them lift them up off the tabletop. And some we poured on the side, some we left just on the front, and just had the best time. 6 grandchildren helping with different summer camp activities at our house. And that's where I got the idea to, why not do a miniature and share some of that art. Now, I wanted to play with the alcohol. Not everyone does this, but I've seen this done. And when you spray the alcohol, it actually has a chemical reaction with the paint and the glue and creates what they call cells. So it just kind of opens up all these little holes. I know there's an artistic word for it. I can't think of it. But it gives it kind of some of it with the yellow made look more like minerals. And I was kind of honored because all our grandchildren, the older ones, made this. And they're like, "Grandma, I want yours." Like, okay. Then you can do other things. You can drip more paint. You can move it around. You could pour in different areas. It's up to you. You're the artist. Now back to miniatures. We'll go over the supplies. We have disposable paper plates, sponge brushes, different size palettes, and those are a challenge to find. We're using acrylic paints, and these are some of the samples. Also used a holographic paint and glow germ. Wanted to see if we could actually find out if the paints would glow in the dark. And it was a half mixture of white glue and distilled water, and then I have small spray bottles of alcohol. Just recommend that you always label everything. And then gesso was used to create a base for the palette. As in keeping with our ability to recycle and upcycle, I've taken applesauce cups, cleaned them, dried them, and I store them for use, and that's what we'll be pouring our paints in. Also trying to use some air eyedroppers, and they weren't that successful, but wanted to show you what it was like. So you can see that we've taken half and half of distilled water and white glue, and I used these bottles that we got from the dollar store. Just trying to keep costs down and make it user-friendly so many of us can do the same thing. And so you'll see the little small paper plates or whatever you have. I like to practice on these plates first after I've put the gesso on the palettes. The gesso gives it a smooth coating, so the acrylic paint will adhere better. And then I like to take my paints, pour them in the little applesauce cups, and then I'm going to mix 50% of the acrylic paint and then 50% of the water glue mixture, and then mix it up. And then I put some glow germ in several of them just to see what kind of effect we would have, and played around. But I like to practice first because I figure a disposable plate or some type of container is easier to replace than the palettes. Especially the miniature palettes are awfully challenging to find in the stores, and our stores had run out, so I had to go with what they had. So you can take a popsicle stick or the end of a brush or the flat end of the brush and stir after you've done your 50-50 mix, and then just practice. And I try to take the paint and just pour it, as we've seen in the acrylic pour painting, and there are a lot of websites that'll show you how to do that, and that you pour one color on top of another. And I thought, well, since it's so small, I would do the eyedroppers filled with the acrylic paint. And I found there were more bubbles when I did the eyedropper, so that didn't turn out to be that great. And you spray the alcohol to see if you can get some bubbles and what they call cells, so that it will start moving along your palette and create a different effect. This one, I wasn't really thrilled with the pour painting, so I got creative. You'll see that I've actually just drawn some lines in this, and then I'm going to be adding some colors to create a different effect. It was kind of fun. I wanted it to be more like a palette knife look. Now I'm going to take a paintbrush and try to fill in some of these spaces. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. See, I'm just taking my pink on an inexpensive paintbrush. Used to be dime stores, now they're dollar stores or more. And it's combining your light colors, like your whites and your pale blues, to kind of give you. Of course, you could rinse your brush and do it over. I'm just playing. We'll see what happens. See if I get the effect I'm looking for. And sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing, and it just comes together and go, oh, that's so cool. And other times I go, all right, that's not something I'm going to show people, but that's okay. I end up learning. Every time I do something, I learn. And retrain my brain to think in different ways. And it helps, because if we don't learn and continue to learn, then we stagnate. And when you aren't afraid to learn, you open yourself up to be a lot happier and creative and help others who are struggling. And the beauty with these acrylics, one, they're inexpensive. Two, you can mix the colors you want. It just depends on the pigment. This was fun because we just played around with different pigments, the alcohol and the gold. So what we're trying to show here is how the gold, when I spray the alcohol, how it just starts moving down on the canvas. And the background is the pour painting, but wanted just to show that you can start with a background and then add to it. So this is our little twist to the whole pour painting. And this one, excuse my painted fingers, but this one shows how you can just drop like a big circle of paint, and then just take a toothpick or something thin and just run it through. I was trying to see if I could create a little heart at the bottom. Here's some miniature hearts that we did, and my grandson says, I think they're little fish. So it's whatever you want to interpret, but that is a pour painting background with little eyedropper dots all around, and then the the circle drop of the pinkish red, and then with a little bit of orange mixed together and then pulled through. And this is the messy, you'll see I put wax paper down to kind of protect my surface, and then I use the disposable paper plates. And this is just another pour painting. And I want to show, some people say, what do you do about the sides? I take it and kind of do a little pouring, and then I touch up where the sides are. You could also have, some canvases have wood around, so for the miniature you could take a popsicle stick and cut it and put it around, or you can just put some painter's tape on the outside and let it protect it, and then you just have a clean canvas on the side with no paint. So with a pour painting, you're going to either pour individual cups of paint a little bit at a time, or you can pour several colors in one cup and empty it on. So here you'll see the first one we talked about. This is a little bit close up, and you can just see how everything just flowed. And it's a little rough in the background because I used the gesso wet, and I kind of texturized it. It was a different type of canvas, and I wanted to play with it and see what it would do. The other canvases, I let the gesso dry. So you see a little rough texture, but I thought it would be kind of like a palette effect. Now, we talked about the glow germ. This is what it looks like. Use a black light at night or daytime with the lights off to see if it did glow in the dark, and it does. So this is the little miniature hearts, as I call them, and it's hard to see, but that's what it looks like with a black light. And just wanted you to get a sense of it. And this is where we've placed it. We'll have another video showing how to place your paintings. Here is the true pour painting, and you can see how it looks in the night with a black light, which is kind of fun. And so now we have it placed in the house, and it's just a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you'll come back. Take care.